man, after seeing some basketball in Las Vegas at the T-Mobile Arena, I really felt like I wanted to play some hoops after last night's game. Team USA and their showcase against Team Canada got underway last night. Joel Embiid making his debut in the USA uniform. Did not quite go as planned for Embiid, but they did get the W. A lot to talk about from game number one as we were live on location. I even had to go with the red, white, and blue here, just represent here.
Look at this guy. Always comes prepared to make an impression.
Hey, Bree liked it, so we can roll with it. It's sunny. We need the bucket caps. With Derek Bodner, Kyle Neubeck, I'm Devon Givens. Brianna producing, as always. All of you, of course, in the chat, we greatly appreciate it, especially with us being out here on the West Coast and you still supporting the way that you are. We have a lot to talk about from Joel Embiid and what we saw. Some more Secret Service, as Kyle pointed out on his Twitter account, that we need to get into discussion about that. Some food choices maybe that we've been making here, and Kyle tries to get Derek and I to go to the Sphere tonight. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Hey, when we ended the show yesterday, more people, I saw a new addition in the comments, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. But fellas, Joel Embiid, not the greatest debut. The team did get a win. He got the start. Devin Booker, Steph Curry, LeBron James, along with Drew Holiday and Joel Embiid, man, in the 5 spot for Team USA, Steve Kerr squad. And they got off to a very, very slow start. You saw some okay things defensively in general, but they couldn't make shots on the other end. But Kyle, just to start off, man, as we were sitting there watching high up in the rafters as we watched the game, first, just your thoughts of the game and also what we saw from him, even pregame, because that was another experience in and of itself.
Yeah, so I will say the big takeaway for me, just being around these guys the last couple of days and seeing, the warm-ups and all the other nonsense associated with it, is certainly, at least for this game, there was a very serious approach, right? Like they did not start well. They shot poorly, and there's a lot of clunkiness going on, which we'll get to on the Joel Embiid front. That being said, these guys are dug in defensively already. Like there were some moments for everybody, including our friend from Cameroon, where you could tell it was a scrimmage in July and they let guys go by. But, when they decided to ratchet up the pressure, I think you can see kind of what the vision was for this roster. I mean, between Drew Holiday, you're going to have Derek White coming in to replace Kawhi. You have both the bigs coming in off the bench, where Bam Adebayo just basically can fly around, do whatever he wants because Anthony Davis can protect the rim, or vice versa. They have a ton of versatility on that end of the floor. And then maybe LeBron will try. We got to see a nice chase down block. But on top of all that, it's just cool seeing. It feels like it's just one last hurrah for this older generation of LeBron, Curry, and some of those guys. And then you have the new guard coming in with Ant, who I said to you two last night as we're sitting in the rafters. I was like, I kind of feel like this is going to be the Ant-Man really plants his flag at the top of the mountain Olympics, right? Like there's always that one guy, and he called his shot prior to all this starting. And I know it's only one scrimmage, but he did not carry himself any differently on the floor or after the game last night. So those were all that's kind of my big picture type of takeaways. We can focus more on Joel, where I think the consensus from all of us would be, boy, that was a disaster of a game for him. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, to your point, like Ant came in and in that second stint or the first stint with the second group changed the game. Not that the game really matters, so changing it's not a huge deal, but they were pretty dead in the water. I think they had 1 point through 4 minutes of play, which is wild considering the overall talent level they have on there. They looked a little bit like they were playing like strangers, which you expect a little bit. But Ant came in with an aggressiveness and just a shot making that really changed the game. That layup he had early on, a couple of tough jumpers. But I guess we do sort of have to focus on the 7-foot Cameroonian, who we all wrote about leading up to it, because he was not good. He was not good for quite a bit. And Kyle made a mention to us as we were sitting there in the second quarter. Like, boy, I'm glad, he started showing up because I didn't really want to deal with the narrative. Well, then the third quarter.
And then the narrative came anyway, brother.
Then the third quarter happened. He fouled out in, what was it, 12 minutes of play? It just
the headline.
and look,
sounds about right.
I don't want to make too much of it because I think as people who follow Joe a lot, you know that when he has a long layoff, like the first game back is always bad. Like he spends a couple of weeks and you go, oh my God, what happened in the offseason? He looks like he can't play basketball. He's out of shape. He forgot everything he knew how to do. And then like a month later, he's the best player in the world again. Well, he doesn't necessarily have a month here. I guess he has about exactly a month. So he has time to work back into it. But I think for people who are looking at him, placing a lot of scrutiny on him for being on his team, for maybe having a chance to sort of establish a legacy he hasn't had up to this point, they're going to jump to narratives and conclusions quickly. And I just thought that looked like tired, sloppy Joe for the most part, which isn't what I wanted to see.
Well,
yeah, I mean, here you go ahead, Devon. I've been taking your time over here.
For me, it was typical. Hey, we've seen this before. While it has been on a different stage in this spot that we've talked about leading up to the first game last night, we've seen this before from him. And I even saw a lot of it where, Derek, you're talking about so many people coming after him for playing for Team USA and all. But mostly when you look at Sixer fans who have been around him for his entire career, the 8 years that he's played for the Sixers on the floor, that this is what he does. And it's part of why we talked about this being so good for him for the Sixers later on, because he's going to have to get into shape earlier than he's normally in shape. He's going to be playing some meaningful basketball at this time right now. That's going to hopefully bode well for his team once he gets back home. And that's where this was more comical last night, and watching how everything was playing out. Sure, he was laboring a bit because he was a bit tired. Okay, he hasn't played basketball in a while. And a part of that, too, was because he was rehabbing that knee that he was playing through against the New York Knicks when we last saw them in late April. And with him playing through not being able to play, this is the first time he's getting back out there. You heard LeBron James, as we had a chance to be around them last night for the post-game interviews, and he's like, we've only been together for like 5 days. And with us being together for 5 days, there's a lot that we really have to pick up on. Each and every person that we were able to listen to and or talk to, we're basically saying that, hey, we all have to find ways. Even when Tyrese Halliburton would talk about, Bam Adebayo said it on Tuesday at the practice, and Tyrese Halliburton saying last night, everybody has their roles on their team. Now we have our roles here, and we have to figure it out. And for Embiid, it's not just a role; it's the fact that he has to get back into playing shape. So I wasn't worried about it too much. It was more fun, especially when they came back. As you said, Ant came in and changed the complexion of the game. He, Tatum, Bam Adebayo also, they came in and changed things a lot and flipped the whole script there going into halftime where the Team USA was leading. But after a while, knowing that they were going to win, and it's just watching him try to get his conditioning back, playing the 12 minutes that he did, it was just some funny stuff where we would each look at each other and start laughing when he would commit a stupid foul on Kelly Olynyk, or another dumb foul later on that becomes basically a flagrant foul, unsportsmanlike conduct, because we knew the guy was tired. And I said to Derek at one point, Derek, that was a foul where he wanted to get out of the game. And that's exactly what happened. He picked up his fourth foul and he had to come out of the game. He picked up the fifth right there on the next possession. And that was it. So for me, he'll be fine. They have this flight that they have today to go to Abu Dhabi. They'll continue to practice. He'll get into basketball shape. There's a reason why, Kyle, he started in that game for Steve Kerr last night, because we know who they believe is the best big man for this basketball team, and they believe that he'll eventually catch up to his conditioning. Yeah,
no, that fifth foul was like if halfway through the stream I just got sick of dealing with Kyle's shit, and I was like, oh man, my internet's not working, and I closed the browser. You just kind of like opt out of it. Yeah,
hotel Wi-Fi, baby, we love that.
I am looking forward to getting off of hotel Wi-Fi, at least for the stream. No, I mean, look, I do think he contributed defensively. I think he contributed on the glass, which a lot of times when he is tired does not do that. So I take some good away from that. I do think he made some pretty decent passes there, especially in that stint in the second quarter. So I think that is something to take away from. But tired Joe, Sleepy Joe, is never the best version. And you don't always want to react to one bad Sleepy Joe performance.
Perfect. Perfectly said. Perfectly said.
But, he is like the way he plays with the Sixers, where he has to generate every open shot for everyone. He doesn't need to do that here. So like when he's dominating the ball, when he's sort of like grabbing it at the nail and waiting and surveying the floor, he does have to change up his game a little bit. More screen, more roll, more in the post. Can he do that? Yeah, I think given enough time, he can adapt. But I think you saw a combination of both his, not being in basketball shape and having to ramp back up to it, and the fact that he's got to change the way he plays and the way he's played over the last few years. Not that it's not going to work, but it's not necessarily what this team needs. So we'll see how it looks going forward. They have 4 more games to warm up, and then they have the playoffs or the Olympics coming up. So it will be fun to watch.
Yeah, so my brain's in a few different places on this. On the one hand, all these things that we're saying about, well, this is an opportunity for him to adapt and evolve and play in these different ways. That obviously doesn't just happen. Like, you don't just hit a light switch and all of a sudden, hey, all these years of basketball habits just go out the window, right? Like these other guys, a lot of them anyway, have played in Team USA type environments and have already kind of gone through this to figure out, this is what I need to do. This is how I need to change. And frankly, did not have as much that they needed to change to fit alongside those types of players, right? Like Bam Adebayo is not making as much of an adjustment as a big man as Joel Embiid does. They don't play the same way. It's just a heavier lift on Joel's end. I think the problem that I had watching last night was twofold. One, it's easy to use the like, well, nobody's played basketball in a while excuse, but I do think he was like noticeably more off the pace than most of the guys, if not all the guys who played in that game. So we can, as people who watch Joel year in and year out, we can all say, yeah, he was rusty and this is pretty classic Joel. But on the scale of the guys who played in that game, and considering the fact that, like, look, if Anthony Davis was starting that game, like, he was ready to play within that team identity, team situation far more than Joel was. Same with Bam Adebayo. And so I understand there are some people who just can't stand Joel nationally, whether it's media types or just normal fans. Certainly there are a lot of Lakers fans last night who have watched him kill their team over and over again. So there's no real love lost on that front. But so I get it. He's being judged against other Olympians, other Team USA guys. And there just isn't that much time. People want to see the results sooner rather than later. The other part of it is that it's hard, and we did this, but Joel has also done it, has said how much this all means to him and wants to do this for his son, blah, blah, blah. It's a little difficult to do this is it's a really meaningful experience for me. I've always wanted to do this. I want to leave a legacy for my son, and then show up and just be like, oh, I'm happy to be here. Who cares? Whatever. Like, I'm not saying he has to have the like playoff level urgency for a scrimmage on July 10th, whenever it is, right? But maybe a little bit more pep in your step and commitment to what they're doing out there. So we'll see what he looks like the next time they get out there with his legs under him. But that's the part I was a little disappointed in, is that there was not I get that he's trying to play hard or play physical anyway. And maybe that has colored a little too much of the analysis, but would have liked to see a better game from him. We can be honest about that.
Oh, we absolutely wanted to see a better game, but it was game 1. And that's where that would be my only pushback, not to make it as an excuse because we've seen it before. But the one thing that we have, not covering Anthony Davis or Bam Adebayo on a regular basis or being around them, you can see from afar that they're always ready to go. Now, Anthony Davis also deals with injuries, and sometimes we can question certain things about what he does. But as far as Embiid goes and what we see from him regularly, yeah, we can clearly look at, and while we may praise him for the things that he does, certainly criticize him for things that we feel like he should be doing, just like these other pros, to your point, that you're talking about. So how is he going to look by game 3, 4, and 5? And once they start the pool play of trying to make sure that everything is ready to go and try to push towards that gold medal, guess what? He's never been benched before. Steve Kerr's trying to win. Grant Hill was trying to win. That's why he assembled the team that he did. it will sit him down. I'm pretty sure he will sit him down if he has to make an adjustment, a change, if that is the case. And with him being around the people that we've talked about, the champions that are there, the MVPs, he has won. So LeBron and Curry and those guys have won before. Being around them, Kevin Durant as well, even though he did not play last night. There's a small window here. He has to get it right if he wants to contribute, and it's just not I'm happy to be here type of situation. So all your points certainly fair. The people that are going way off the ledge with him is certainly different than what we're discussing here, but I do think he'll be fine. I think this is certainly not a Kawhi Leonard situation where he decided to pick up and leave, or Team USA, however you want to label that one. But I do think he'll be fine. And I since, especially with that being our first experience there and seeing him in that environment, I wanted to see him play much better too. He did not, and now we see where it goes from here. It gives us something to talk about in a different way than we expected with him being prepared to go last night. When we get back though, I wanted to ask you guys about how he played against the FIBA or the Olympic officiating and how you felt he did in that regard when it comes to we'll talk about, because as you said, I'm just trying to be physical. It's been out there on social media. So we'll talk about that, Joel Embiid's physicality. We'll get to that when we come back live from Las Vegas here on the PHLY Sixers podcast. And we're out in Vegas, and there are a lot of casinos around here, but you know what? One casino is the only one for me and for us. That's our friends at Parks Casinos. Perfect for after work, after hour get-togethers, date night, or even for the ladies out there. Jess, Winona, I see you all out there. Girls' night out. Sip on tantalizing drinks and soak up those warmer weather, good vibes right now at Parks Casino. This is how you win. You can enjoy $5 drafts of Forged Stout, Victory Seasonal, or Parks Pills. Look at that, the pills there. Enjoy the drink of the summer, the $5 Twisted Tea, Frozen Whiskey, Arnold Palmer's. It's hot in Philadelphia. I know we're talking about the heat here. It's hot back at home too. So you got the $5 Twisted Tea, Frozen Whiskey, Arnold Palmer's when you go inside that air-conditioned casino at Parks Casino. Plus feast on flavored packed $5 small plates of braised short rib sliders, hot and honey chicken sliders. That one sounds really good. Or rotisserie chicken flatbreads. The all-new Parks Casino epic $5 happy hour happening right now. Parks Casino has 3,200 state-of-the-art slots, 115 live table games, a beautiful poker room, plus a collection of incredible award-winning restaurants. The best cover bands every weekend, only at 360 Lounge. And just announced, September 27th, Tiffany Haddish will be in town. Tickets for all shows at parkscasino.com. Visit parkscasino.com. Must be 21 plus. Gambling problem? 1-800-GAMBLER. Parks Casino. This is how you win.
I can't believe they're not serving Olipop at Parks Casino. We got to get those people.
We got to figure that out. We have to figure
Put them on game, right? But
yes.
Listen, guys, one thing I know about casinos in general, when you hit that casino floor, you often have to worry about your cell phone service, right? They do a pretty good job of suppressing your ability to make contact with the outside world. You lose sense of time. You lose sense of place. What am I doing? Well, guys, I have a friend to tell you about. Our friends at Mint Mobile, who provide incredible wireless service. And for a limited time, Mint Mobile has wireless plans for $15 a month for a 3-month plan. You think, what's the catch? There is no catch, ladies and gentlemen. I am here in Las Vegas with my Mint Mobile phone, making calls, shooting texts to people, and it's working beautifully. They have the largest high-speed data network in the country. It's wonderful. They don't pass the cost on to you because they don't have retail stores or salespeople. They just deliver premium phone plans directly to you. All their plans come with that unlimited talk and text and high-speed data on that network. You can use your own phone on any Mint Mobile plan. You can bring your phone number, all your existing contacts. There's really no stress in setting that up and getting to know the good people like Ryan Reynolds, who are telling you every day about this great service over at Mint Mobile. So to get this new customer offer and your new 3-month unlimited wireless plan for just $15 a month, go to mintmobile.com/Sixers. That's mintmobile.com/Sixers. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/Sixers. $45 upfront payment required, equivalent to $15 a month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes on unlimited plan. Additional taxes, fees, and restrictions apply. See Mint Mobile for details.
So I highlighted Jess and Winona. I forgot about Val. We got to include Val in there. And Jess says, going to have ourselves a time, but since Devon mentioned it, he got to pay for this. Got you covered. Got it. Go ahead. Have fun at Parks Casino. It's on me since I called the ladies and, sent out the signal. I got you covered. All right. Got to ask you guys, Derek, what did you think of Joel reacting to? Now, we talked about the 5 personal fouls, but it was just more things where he thought he also, very early in the game, one of his first early touches, he thought he should have got a normal Joel Embiid call that he typically gets in the Sixers uniform that he did not get in that Team USA number 11 last night. What did you think of his adjustment, if you will, to the officiating, to the Olympic officials?
I actually think that foul you're referencing there with the trying to draw the offensive foul, or not the offensive foul, but trying to draw a scoring foul, a shooting foul, that's probably the bigger adjustment for him. That's the one that they really just do not call a lot in these international games. A lot of the physicality varies a little bit league to league. So I think there will be adjustment for pretty much everyone. I don't necessarily think the physicality from Joe was I have to adjust to international refereeing as much as like he was lazy and frustrated, and I'm not sure necessarily wanted to be on the court there in the third quarter and was taking some really dumb, bad fouls. I'm not sure that's an adjustment so much as he just had a horrible mindset. That would have been horrible in the NBA. That would have been horrible in FIBA. That was horrible last night. I think it's that offensive, foul baiting that he's not going to get away with nearly as much here. I think that's the bigger adjustment for him.
Yeah, to Derek's point, I think there were just some runaway train with no brakes moments for him where he's running down the floor. And look, I want to see the physicality there were some moments last night on screens where he just leveled guys in a way that I don't think you really see that from him. That frankly, I'd like to see that more in the NBA. Like part of the reason that you'd want to have a 7-foot, 280-pound center as one of your pieces, your main guys on your team, is to create separation for guys. And I think he hit RJ Barrett last night and looked like he knocked him into last week. So I would love to see more of that when you're playing with Steph Curry, who's able to get freed up for some open looks because of screens and things like that. That's what you need him out there doing, hitting guys, rebounding, protecting the rim, doing all that, not trying to. I get that Steve Kerr wants to try to play through him in the post more, which I think you could see there's a reason that he and the Sixers have moved him more out toward the elbows with the passing reads and everything else. But yeah, I agree with Derek. I think some of it was being out of shape or not in as good a shape as it needs to be. Some of it was lazy. And some of it was trying to get to that level of physicality that's going to be required to beat these good teams in the Olympics. But I don't know that it's much of an adjustment, right? Like he's comfortable playing physical basketball. I think he just has to get his legs under him and then everything else will come, right? Like he's a smart enough guy and he's never been a foul prone player. Like whenever he is in foul trouble in a game, it's always a real big surprise because he's done a great job over the years of, okay, if he picks up that second early foul, one, we know that he's going to stop trying on defense for probably like a quarter of the game, right? And just say, no, I'm going to pick my battles and live the fight in the third quarter and the fourth quarter. But also he's so big that he can contest shots at the rim without having to swipe down and do the over aggressive stuff that gets guys in trouble. And so it was a bit surprising to see him just go on full tilt mode in the third quarter. And I just have to assume, as Derek is alluding to, that it was more of I'm about done with my minutes allotment for this game, which is a shame. Like, I don't want him to have that even in a scrimmage. I don't want to see that mentality from him. I want him to be looking at this opportunity as, every game is this new, fresh thing that not only can you learn something playing alongside these guys, but you can continue building your conditioning base, building your skill set, not just for Team USA, but as you're moving forward into training camp and preseason for the Sixers, because I'll have way less of a layoff now than he would in the average offseason.
And something Canoli just brought up in the chat. He says that he acts way more reckless when his conditioning is off. I agree with that. I think he's trying to balance the fact that he wants to be aggressive and set the tone and set good screens with the fact that he doesn't really have the energy expend to do that in a controlled way. So you combine that with maybe some frustration in the third quarter. I think that's mostly what it is, more so than the officiating.
Yeah, and even look, even go back on the other end on the offensive end where he didn't get another way. And this wasn't a foul call or anything. It was just more of he's not where he needs to be. He tried to do his typical rip through against Dwight Powell. Dwight Powell doesn't even play as much anymore for the Dallas Mavericks, but Dwight Powell was ready for it as the game went along, and he stripped him on the way up. He got him clean, knocked the ball out, other way, going Canada for a fast break opportunity. This is stuff that he's just simply going to have to get back into that game shape and all of that. And that has nothing to do with the officials. That has everything to do with him going back to everything of not playing basketball. But someone asked, I think it was Winona asked a little bit earlier in the chat, does he not have a trainer in the offseason? Well, his trainer is Drew Hanlon. So Drew Hanlon, notably with Bradley Beal and Jason Tatum from their time in St. Louis, growing up in that area, still with them today in the pros. Joel Embiid has been working with Drew Hanlon for the better part of his career in the offseason for the Sixers. But dealing with that knee injury, I just wonder, I don't have the answer. Maybe you guys know. I don't know how much he's worked in the offseason because of the knee, because of rehabbing and resting that knee after the playoffs. And that's where he was. He didn't look all that bad when we finally got to see him up close for the pregame. His body didn't look all that bad to me. That's just my personal opinion. His body didn't look bad. It was just more of the conditioning once the game started of how he looked a little bit off. His body rarely looks terrible. It rarely looks great. But you know how people look at it and they say, oh, Joel looks fat. You know, he looks this, he looks that. We've seen him when he's looked big. Right now, he looks fine.
And Joel Embiid, like when he comes to the season and he looks out of shape in terms of his movements, and then 3 weeks later when he looks like the best player in the world, physically, like if you just looked at him standing there in a locker room, he would look pretty much the same. The conditioning, I don't think necessarily shows up in his skin fold, as Brett Brown used to call it.
Skin fold. I hate that. That is such a disgusting. That's what Brett used
to. I'm bringing up a Brettism. That's all. That's all I'm doing.
If you say so, buddy.
Kyle, you mentioned too earlier with Anthony Edwards and that stretch that he had to really get things going, turning around for Team USA. To your point of him basically injecting himself into it and going to force Steve Kerr to play him more or maybe even start him, who knows? They did the same thing last summer for the FIBA tournament because he came off the bench. And he came off the bench for the first 2-3 games. And then after a while, you were like, all right, this guy's the best player on the team. He has to be out there and he has to be featured. I just wanted to remind people of that from watching those games last summer, that he did come off the bench until Steve Kerr said, all right, we can't do this anymore and we have to do it. But look, Devin Booker and Steph Curry got to start with Drew Holiday. They were fine. They just didn't make shots early. Defensively, they were fine. They just didn't make shots. And that's why, look, the 9-1 start that they had against Team USA looked so lopsided. No Kevin Durant. LeBron James was out there with Joel Embiid. It was just the shots that didn't fall. Their defense was fine for the most part. They just got in the 8-point hole just because they did not hit their shots. And LeBron made that one free throw, split the pair when they got to the free throw line. Joel Embiid, we saw working a lot on his jump hooks, to your point of Steve Kerr wanting him on the low block a little bit more. And you understand that too, because the 3-point line is shorter. There's not, a little bit less space because of the 3-point line being shorter. So you want your big man, who's a dominant big man, to be able to take advantage of that and also have that space for the perimeter, where once we saw Steph Curry get a little loose, he made a couple of jumpers. We saw Joel Embiid in that transition play where they made that save on the sideline. He pushed the break. Derek and I looking at each other like, oh, and then I heard you from the other end say that before that was something different if he was in the Sixers uniform, but he knew who he had to his left. He gave the ball up pretty quickly. Devin Booker knocked down that 3 timeout. Jody Fernandez and Team Canada. But some good stuff, of course, to take out of it. More bad that we saw in this one, but overall, Team USA getting it done. And a lot for us to talk about with Joel Embiid getting things ready for game number 2 as they head out to Abu Dhabi now.
Yeah, look, I'm just curious if Ant-Man is able to just break through that wall, right? I do think there is some logic to him being, he does bring a different sort of energy off the bench than really anybody else on this team could.
I agree with you. Yeah.
And I think if they maintain this general look and these starting groups and bench groups where he's coming in with the two bigs and some of these other guys, I think that is just like a jolt to the system for other teams, right? Like, okay, maybe they're a little bit slower with a Joel Embiid and older LeBron. Like LeBron wants to run more than Joel, but he's not like 2009 dunking from the free throw line type LeBron. And so it is going to be more of we can be a half court execution team, that sort of deal. If you bring Anthony Edwards in with these other guys, going from that to this, just like, this dude is going to fly past you, and Anthony Davis is going to come out of nowhere defensively, or Bam Adebayo's lurking behind him. It's just a lot of activity and athleticism that you can throw at teams and just lock them
Jason
down.
Tatum coming in that wave too.
Tatum, and look, the thing that I really took away from last night, like, I am absolutely not excusing Joel at the low end of hasn't played in a while. I do think you saw how much fresher, or how much recently, Holiday, Jason Tatum, and Anthony Edwards had played, because those guys were able to settle in basically right away. Like, Drew was locking people up, creating turnovers. Tatum comes in off the bench. He's immediately going by guys. He had a beautiful move, I think toward the end of the first half, I want to say, to get to the basket. And Ant-Man was Ant-Man. And so the rest of the guys were a little behind the pace. It was more about them just being fresh and having played, conference finals type of basketball, and they just jump right in. The other big takeaway I would say I had from the game, not related to Team USA, boy, Dylan Brooks does not have a lot of friends in basketball.
It's universal, man. It is universal.
And there was a point last night where Joel hit him pretty hard, and Derek was like, do those two have any kind of history? And I was like, no, I think everyone has history with Dylan Brooks, though. He's just a irritable guy who's kind of painted himself into a corner as a cartoon villain to an extent. So it's pretty clear he's getting booed every time he touched the ball, which, man, I was not expecting that in an international game. And give credit too, by the way, it was a pretty good crowd when you consider it was just like a scrimmage for Team USA in the middle of July. A lot of people excited to see LeBron and Steph Curry, but they were pretty engaged in that game, given that it had absolutely no stakes.
So my disdain for Dylan Brooks goes back to his Oregon days. So I wonder if there's some UNLV fans that maybe he played against the Running Rebels at some point, and they just also can't stand him because the guy is a villain. Did you see Gerald's video from PHNX when I didn't see it live in the moment while we were there? Did you see when Booker was talking and Dylan Brooks walked right through his media session, right in the front of him?
I was right there, so that was.
You did see that one? I missed it. Yeah, I was like, this dude, man. And that's why, look, when people would talk about, the Sixers need to, I'm like, please don't do that. I don't feel like having to deal with this dude regularly because, I can't stand Dylan Brooks, and it's universal, as you said. But the lights were bright in that place. It's sunny out here. When we come back, can we tell the people about just the atmosphere in general, as you talked about T-Mobile Arena, Kyle? We got to tell people on the other side all the goings-ons and the happenings around the building, because it was something, both pregame, after the game, during the game, it was something. So when we get back, we'll talk about just a little bit of insight from our experience at Team USA taking on Canada right here on the PHLY Sixers podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, Devon told you it is bright out here.
It is bright.
It is bright. It's sunny. It's hot. You need to get hooked up with our friends at Shady Rays. Quality shades that are built to last. Our friends at Shady Rays have you covered with premium polarized shades that won't break the bank. Shady Rays is an independent sunglasses company offering a world-class product rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people, as you see Devon pulling them out for all
Shady
the world
Rays,
to
baby.
see. Their shades, as you can see, have durable frames, crystal clear optics. They are the perfect choice for all outdoor adventures, even when that outdoor adventure is trying to walk half a mile down the Las Vegas Strip without melting into the pavement, which we have been using those Shady Rays each and every day as we go out there and prepare to get punched in the face by the Las Vegas heat. I actually have my Shady Rays with me in my shirt pocket for all of last night because I just didn't want to leave them in the media room. You never know. There are a lot of, let's say, questionable characters hanging around last night. But if they were to have gone missing or they took an unexpected hit while traveling around, I didn't have to worry about it because they have the most insane protection in all of eyewear. Every pair backed by lost or broken replacements. And if you don't love your Shady Rays, you can exchange them for a new pair or return worry-free within 30 days. So exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out the best deal of the season. Head to shadyrays.com and use code PHLY for 35% off of polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people.
We are about to shift over to Fremont pretty soon here in the next day or so. When that happens, Kyle and I are going to go hit up the craps table, and with any luck, we are going to need a place to put some money. One of those places you can look to put that money is TrueMark Financial. Specifically here, though, we want to tell you about TrueMark Financial's Rewards Visa credit card. Earn rewards for each purchase using TrueMark Financial Rewards Visa credit card and redeem them for travel and retail gift cards. Build credit through timely payments and low credit utilization. Enjoy fraud protection with features like zero liability. We also want to tell you about saving options you have with TrueMark Financial. They have a traditional savings account, which is a basic savings account, offering a place to deposit funds, earn interest, and withdraw money as needed. There's also a money market account, which combines features of savings and checking accounts, offering higher interest rates and limited check writing capabilities, easy access to your money when you need it. And finally, there is a certificate fixed term deposit account with a predetermined interest rate and maturity date, offering higher interest rates for a locking in funds for a specific period. TrueMark Financial is federally insured by the NCUA and is an equal opportunity lender. For more information, visit truemark.com/PHLY.
Kyle, we're getting a lot of love on the Shady Rays. Martian Lynn said I look like an undercover cop. For real.
Oh, no.
LOL.
I mean, undercover Secret Service.
We're getting to them.
We could have used you a couple days ago, buddy.
Yeah, really. Yeah. You could have pretended. You could have made one of those bifold badges that guy was holding up to us and been like, hey, this is Officer Givens.
We got to know some people.
Sergeant Givens, whatever it is. I don't know what the titles are. The guy we dealt with the other day was a sergeant. I know that.
He was a sergeant. Yeah, he didn't even look like a sergeant. It's like, hold on, man. What's going on? Jess says, look like I got 2000s music video vibe going on. Prophet One says, I'm a B-boy with the glasses. Let me put the shades back on while we talk about these things.
We're going to put, Devon, we're going to put you on the boat from Big Pimpin', the music video.
Yes, I'm hanging out with the guys, Bun B, Jay-Z,
UGK for life, baby.
Yeah, no question. I saw a funny story about Andre 3000 was talking about how Pimp C got mad that he took the music off of the beat of the wedding song, of course, that everybody knows about with those guys. It was funny.
Players anthem.
Yeah,
I got fun fact. I got vetoed on that being my introductory song at our wedding. So I thought it was on brand, but I got outvoted. And by outvoted, I mean one other person said I couldn't do it.
She said no. Derek, let's talk about the second encounter that we had. So on Tuesday, we had the encounter with Secret Service, as Kyle just laid out, with the sergeant and arms flipping his badge on us, telling us he was Secret Service, and you can't come in here. Okay, cool. You pull out the badge, looking a little funny. All right, cool. But we couldn't go in there. But last night, we also, coming off the elevator, Derek.
Yeah.
Tell the people about what happened as Kyle was already down there, like, hurry up, get over here.
This one's not nearly as funny because, quite frankly, after Kyle started calling one a rent-a-cop, we learned our lesson. We didn't try to do that the second time around.
First of all, I only called him a rent-a-cop on stream. I didn't look at the guy in the face and be like, hey, rent-a-cop, I'm supposed to be here.
You called him a rent-a-cop with the attitude you were giving him. You might not have directly said it, but you were calling him it. So this time around, we were a little more respectful. We listened a little better. So when Kyle said, hey, get across the aisle here, right away, we did it. We mostly just ran into him because we were completely lost in the T-Mobile Arena. We were trying to find the media seating. We had no clue. We were walking around for a good 20, 25 minutes trying to do so. And we had split up to try to basically each go our own separate way, and then we would tell each other how to get there. And we just got cut off. And eventually, this was probably only maybe a 5-minute shutdown when we were in the arena rather than out in 120-degree heat. So it wasn't nearly as inconvenient either. So this was a much lower key one.
But the black SUVs were there, man. And when we got off, Kyle was like, hurry up, get over here before you get in trouble. Because now look, just to kind of set people up, we knew ahead of time that he was going to be there. We had a little tip that he was going to be there. But we were prepared to be in our seats already. We were trying to find our seat. So we weren't even trying to get in the way of former President Barack Obama and everything with the Secret Service. We weren't even trying to. It just so happens that all the security people did not know where the press box was that we had to go to, which is a whole nother story. But
and to be fair, like right when they cleared the area and people were allowed to walk through, we walked over and said, "Hey, buddy, do you know how to get the floor 5 here so we can get to our seat?" And he was very helpful and helped us get exactly to where we need to go. Yeah,
they had the dogs out, the dogs the sniffing dogs. It was something. It was so. Kyle, you were there before us. How did you see it before Derek and I got off the elevator?
Yeah, so I had a real here we go again type of moment where so I'm in the tunnels, right? And I'm looking around for some signage and whatnot. And I'm like, all right, I'm just going to go back to the elevator to go up to the 4th floor where I think Derek had gone at that point. And once again, a bald man steps in front of me and says, "I don't think so, sir." But hey, so I'll give him this. He was very friendly about it. Like, "Hey, we just need a few minutes here. We have to keep this area clear." And given the experience we had earlier in the week, and given that we did have a bit of a heads up that there would be a former president in the building, I was at least prepared this time. Like, okay, yeah, you got it, man. Like, I went right back into the kiss ass mode. Like, sure, just tell me, am I allowed to be here? Can I stand there? Like that kind of thing. Because I don't need to play. I've been poking fun at the Secret Service a little bit this week, and I don't need to end up in one of those black SUVs in the trunk, as you were referring to, Devon. So then I saw you two get off the elevator, and I was half expecting like someone to tackle you.
Swarm.
There's a red dot laser on your chest. Like, get down, Devon, get down. So I'm just watching all this from the other side of the room. Like, hey, I know you guys aren't doing anything wrong, but make sure you get the hell out of the way before someone thinks you're doing something wrong. That kind of thing.
Can we go back to Tuesday though with the badge from that guy, Secret Service? And if when he did that and we kind of settled down, it made me think about Bad Boys, the original, when they pulled out the badge at the store asking for the Skittles. Martin was. And the guy at the counter, the owner of the store, was like, "You want badges? I have badges." And he pulled out, because remember we were talking about how it just didn't look like an official badge at that moment, of how dirty his the badge and everything looked, and it was hilarious, man. That was funny. So just to have these stories, this is what was great about being here with these guys. This is the first time I've had a chance to travel with them, and just having these types of stories that we now have and to share it with you as we're out here.
We didn't come out here to give you guys any on the ground reporting. We came out here to be tackled as a group by Secret Service. This is what we're here for.
But by the way, I did mention while telling that story the other day that I'm the only one here who's actually dealt with the Secret Service. Could you guys guess, or not dealt with them, but I know someone who was met by the Secret Service. Do you think you could guess the reason why?
Wow.
No.
Right. So I'm thinking.
I feel like anything I would say would be disrespectful to Kyle and his friend group anyway. So.
Well, so again, it's not.
I was
my
thinking
friend
about
group,
the family, because we met your parents. You told us what they do, so I'm trying to think along those lines. Your dad is the best. He's awesome. Your mom is fantastic. Your dad is funny as hell. So I'm like, damn, does Kyle's dad just how?
No, thankfully it's no. It is nowhere. It's not close to me at all. I will say, right. Michael Belfatti, okay. I'll tag him in here as a fellow alum of my high school. It was somebody from my high school. but no one with direct connection to me. So I did not know until this happened to someone that's, a couple degrees removed from me. The Secret Service actually has jurisdiction over counterfeit money matters, which I did not know until somebody who went to my high school decided they were going to start counterfeiting some money while they were in, let's call this person a bit of an anarchist. So they decided they were going to start printing some fake bills and passing those off as real money. And one day they got off the bus at my high school and they were escorted away by some gentlemen who did not appreciate the fact that they were trying to defraud the U.S. Treasury. So that's how I learned when I was not in high school yet. I probably would have been, let's say, like 11 or 12 or something like that. And that's how I learned that the Secret Service deals with matters of counterfeiting. And fun fact for all of you.
Well, Kyle, Martian says you were busted for downloading MP3s.
No Napster, Martian. No Napster.
I saw another one. Kyle Prophet 1 says, Kyle, they have your room bugged. They hear you. Settle down. Yeah.
I'm not the one calling people Sleepy Joe on this show, for the record. So that's maybe Derek should be the one worry about his room being
I was
bugged.
talking about Joel Embiid. What are you talking about?
I know.
No idea what you're saying.
I know.
Oh, that's funny. That is hilarious. We got a couple of super chats that we have to sneak in here, but that was fun. Real Time says, are Luka and Embiid, quote unquote, in shape? Explainable, Derek.
Like explainable, like why aren't they?
I was gonna say I don't even know what that means.
I mean, they're not in shape because they don't take good enough care of their bodies throughout the year. It's like that simple. And look, it's not just about playing basketball. It's not just about getting in cardio or lifting. It's about being meticulous with your diet. And some people are really, really good at that. Joel Embiid's being surrounded by one right now who's historically good at that. And LeBron James, some people are bad. This is maybe my one biggest consistent criticism of Joel Embiid. Maybe we don't focus on it quite as much as we should, but I know Kyle has brought it up a lot that he'd love to see Joel Embiid lose 20 pounds. He needs to, the small little details that he is not obsessive over, he needs to become obsessive over, in large part because he is a large human being who gets out of shape very easily and has a history of lower body problems, but he's also never really done that.
So I see Real Time followed up in the chat and said, what's in shape for them? Muscles, cardio, eating. I mean, it takes all of it, right? It's never just one thing. When you're at this level of athleticism, that it's not just like I do think his diet has improved a lot, right? Like he's not the slugging pitchers of Shirley Temple guy.
Right.
But I would say one of the things that I think I've harped on, and maybe he does some of this and I'm not aware of it, I think he needs to get more used to or embrace the non-impact conditioning that you can do when you're not able. Like Tim Duncan was big for this, but it's also a lot of guys should do it. Swimming is a big low to zero impact on your lower extremities workout that is great for you. It's the type of thing that he should be doing all the time if he can. I think he's good about, hitting the weights and doing that kind of stuff, but it has to be, I think what we've learned as we've tracked some of these guys that play deep into their 30s is that they're all like multidisciplinary athletes in how they approach their non-basketball time. Like they're doing all kinds of different stuff to train different muscles, to push their lungs and their bodies in different ways, where even like an average person who goes to the gym knows if you're just doing the same things all the time and you just have like, these are my workouts, you will plateau at some point. You can only do one set of things so much and so long without, you have to introduce some other stuff. So I like that he plays, like we've seen him play tennis. We know he does that. That's good for, the side to side and staying in shape when he's able to do that. Although I don't know how often he goes out and does that. I want him to be Tim Duncan is basically what I'm telling you in terms of the slimming down, the swimming, all that kind of stuff. Like yoga has helped a lot of these guys. So there are things he can do to put himself in better positions. And I hope as he hits his 30s and gets deeper into his 30s that we see more of that, or we hear more of that from him.
I was recently looking at the first game he played, the OKC game, his debut in the Sixers uniform back in 2016, and his body type then versus now. Of course, you wanted him to bulk up a little bit more, but just looking at from when he was at Kansas, at the 2 years,
Kansas was a completely different person. Yep.
Completely different. But even again, now to 2016, Embiid playing that first game against the Thunder, so much different. And to Kyle's point, we talked about this before. Kyle's brought this up so many times on the show. The Tim Duncan, getting older later in your career, how you want your body to look. And that's what you want to, focus on doing that. Now, if Brett Brown was still here, I'm sure he would be talking about that and trying to incorporate Tim Duncan into the conversation. Maybe he said it the other day at practice when we saw them talking from afar. But yeah, he definitely needs to take it down just a little bit more. And so he can be in that part of what Real Time is asking about, the cardio, the diet, all that. Kyle incorporating the swimming pool for his lower body to make sure he's good to go. And Real Time said, thanks, guys. He appreciated of you guys laying it out there, explaining the in shape part for Joel Embiid. Marty Bones also with the super chat. Is there any other NBA player held to such a high degree of scrutiny and slander as Embiid? The Jokic MVP stuff really created a monster / king troll.
I mean, go back to the LeBron discourse. It was way uglier than anything Embiid's faced. And LeBron was more accomplished at that stage of his career, and it was way uglier than anything Embiid is. Yes, I think almost any star athlete, anyone who is at the top of the league, especially when they haven't won a championship, is going to get a lot of scrutiny. And then you add in the fact that he is a little bit of a troll at times, and it's going to be ramped up a little bit. And then you add some more unsavory reasons people don't like him, which we don't necessarily need to get into, but are definitely there. And then, yeah, there is a lot of scrutiny, but I certainly wouldn't say it's completely unique. And the example I would bring up is LeBron.
Yeah, and so I would say this, and it was a thought I had listening to you guys throughout the show. It's like, I think the way the internet works now is you basically just get filed into, is this guy praising this person, or is this guy criticizing this person? And people try to categorize you in these really large groups where there's like a huge spectrum of people within that. Like, we're not, people listen to us every day, right? They know we're not on this show saying, boy, Joel's such a fat loser, blah, blah, like that kind of stuff. And that's the stuff that it goes way too far. And there is a level of negativity and animosity for him that frankly we will never participate in, and is just for reasons that, as Derek said, some of them are insidious and ugly. Some of them are just based on the basic fandom, tribalism stuff, which whatever, you're never going to stop people who root for Jokic and the Nuggets from yelling about Joel Embiid, or just as one example. But we can still have honest discussions about, like, look, we watch this guy year in, year out. We deal with him every day. We see what kind of shape he's in, whether his conditioning is where it needs to be, his game level or his game readiness level coming off of these long layoffs. Like, we can be honest about that. And that I can, Joel knows I'm very public. We're all very public about what we say. So when I criticize him or I say, hey, I wish he'd do this, like, I walk in there every day and I still talk to him, and these are not things I would hide from him. And that's why we do this, right? It's why I think we have at least a level of credibility to be like, hey, what we saw last night on that Team USA floor was kind of bogus, without saying, oh, he should be kicked off the team or they need to trade him. Like, doesn't always have to be extreme. We can acknowledge that it wasn't good. We can acknowledge that other guys looked better. And we can still sit here and say all of us believe Joel is an incredible basketball player who, by the time the Olympics have come and gone, will have left a mark on this team in a positive way. I think that's still the broader expectation from all of us.
Yep. All right. Kind of wrapping things up here. The Sixers Summer League team, just full disclosure, everybody, we were doing something else last night, so we didn't really get a chance to see it. Winona hit me up a couple of times to let us know what was going on during the game. Ricky I saw it later on after she told me about it. I was like, oh, I got to see this dunk that Ricky had a defensive play, went the other way, fast break, bounced to himself, caught it in the air, dunk, kind of looked at the Jazz bench and did that. Bodner had a couple of plays. Apparently, it looks like Jared McCain had a tough night last night after a pretty good game number 2. Other than that, full disclosure, I don't know much.
Jeff Doughton had a real nice find to a rolling Bona, which I liked. I liked that with both of them. I think, we talked a little bit about Doughton and the fact that he's sort of like a quad A baseball player, and you're not sure he's necessarily worthy of an NBA contract, or at least not from the start. But I do think he's been a real good stabilizing presence on this squad. Pretty good game from Ricky. Had a couple of nice threes and jumpers, as well as the drives that we were referencing. But yeah, I did not watch the full one yet, just highlights.
Yeah, and if we want to expand a bit on the Doughton thing, because we did touch on him yesterday, if he does end up being like one of those end of roster minimum guys, it's not the worst thing they could do. Like I
won't complain about it. I'm just not going to push for it.
Yeah, it's not something I'd openly advocate for, right? But at least like if you want someone who has a pretty defined skill set, who can come in and just be, so there's a term I don't know if this is used. Is caretaker guard used ever? Because in like English sports or English Premier League, they talk about this guy's a caretaker manager. He comes in mid-season and you just like he's not
gonna receiver.
Yeah, like it's sort of in that same mold, right? Where you're not expecting them to come in and have much upside, but you're also not expecting them to have a super low floor. And I think that'd be the case for Doughton, where if you look at the 15th man, 14th man on a lot of rosters, you're really grasping at straws from time to time. And teams have made an effort to give a lot of these types of players two-way deals first before they give them a spot. I mean, Miami was, we want to talk about 15th men. Miami was carrying Udonis Haslem to be a bench enforcer for like the last 3-4 years or whatever of his career. So I don't think it would be the worst thing in the world. He certainly, as a much older guy at Summer League than the rest of these guys, has shown that, yeah, he's too good for this format and doesn't really need to be there. It's just a matter of, can you take a bigger upside swing or get a more proven guy with one of those final deals? We'll see.
He also, when the Sixers put out their Summer League roster ahead of Utah's Salt Lake Summer League, they had him just for the Utah Summer League. So he wasn't even scheduled to play for the Las Vegas group once they get here. So I'm curious to see if he at least is here, if he's playing for another team or what's going on. But we'll see. The guy can play. He's an older player, and it's just a matter of, they gave him that contract at the end of the year, and they like him enough to keep him around at least for a little bit. So we'll see what happens with him. We'll catch up with you guys tomorrow right here. Actually, we're off tomorrow. My apologies. We're off on Friday because we're running through the weekend.
Yeah, baby. And that means we have a great opportunity tonight to go see a show at the Sphere. Just got to get Derek on his promo code action over there, and we might be set.
Well, folks, yesterday when we ended the show, we said Dead & Co. at the Sphere or New Edition. Most of you said New Edition. So run it in the chat. Let us know what you guys think, because
the Discord,
but they're not playing at the Sphere.
Yeah.
So what?
The Discord, Devon, is all about going to the Sphere. We actually have people who said, I would go with you, Kyle, if I was out there, but I'm
just said the Sphere. AA Ron said the Sphere. Spo Babby said the
Sphere.
If you talk me into it, it's not going to be the quality of the act that we're going to see. It'll be the Sphere that will get my attention.
Wow, that's some real shade being cast on John Mayer and Dead & Company. Jeez.
Man, I guess we're going to the Sphere. First, can we, Kyle, I'm hungry a little bit. We need to go get some more of that cake that we had the other morning. We're not going to say where we got it from, but I need to go
I'm
get
hungry, man. Yeah, we're gonna get some food after this. I got to load up for.
I got to go get the cake. Yeah. Yeah.
I need to put some food in my stomach so I can have some adult beverages later without being loopy after a couple of those, because we're off tomorrow. We might not be truly
loopy,
off.
Kyle. Well, we have to change hotel rooms, so
yeah.
And
I would guess
the practice schedule looks like.
Yeah, the Sixers will probably practice at some point tomorrow, so we'll have to see what's good with that. But
so, folks,
you
we
can
might
show
have
up to practice hungover, though. That's fine. There's nothing against that.
In my tie-dye Grateful Dead Sphere T-shirt that I will pay way too much money for.
Jess, I will bring back some of the cake since it's very good. I'll bring some back because it's delicious. You never know.
We have one last super chat, by the way.
Oh, we got another super
from
chat?
our guy Michael B, who says, "Don't hit 16, guys. Okay, I'm a little worried." Michael, it depends on what the dealer is showing. All right, I know how to play some blackjack. Don't worry about me. And I'm more of a craps guy anyway, but I know the general betting patterns you need to stick to in blackjack.
And look, I'm not called the calculator for nothing. I got blackjack. That's my one game. That's it.
There we go. Counting cards, baby. Let's go.
I'm saving my money and buy some cake. That's all I'm doing. Buy
some cake and some Grateful Dead teas.
And some Grateful Dead. Hey, folks, stay tuned. I might actually have on a tie-dye shirt. You never know, so I can fit into the crowd in there. You know, get the whole deal going. But we're off tomorrow, so we'll try to keep up though, because we're guessing into Sixers Summer League practice here in Vegas. So we'll be at practice, and then we have a show on Saturday. I believe it's 11 a.m. Sunday, 11 a.m. So 2 o'clock your time. And then we'll also have a show on Monday, same time. Sixers play on Saturday. So Sunday we'll be able to recap the game that we see at Summer League here at Thomas and Mack in Vegas. And then Monday they also play, and we'll have an opportunity to talk to you all about what happened in game number 2 on Monday. So it's time for a roll call, everybody. Let's have at it, Kyle. We got a lot of folks. Start putting those bells in the chat right now, folks. Put the bells in there.
Ding. Shout out to our friends Ignacio. What a name to start it off with. Eugene Ross, Jeffrey Stewart, Al the 2-minute warning.
What up, Al?
Martian Lynch, Aaron, Seth F, Michael Belfatti, who says he's going to berate us in Porto over blackjack lecturing. Winona, my girl.
Hey,
Bootzilla.
Boots
in the building. Money Mar, Prophet One, Jess.
What up, Prophet? Jess, bringing the cake back.
Malcolm Carrington. We still cannot confirm or deny if he's related to the NBA Carrington. Got to find that out. Frank Devine, Val Host. What's up, Val?
Hey, Val.
Randy Rubart.
All of them getting ready for the Parks drinks, the Twisted Teas. Jess, Winona, Val. They included Bree in there. They said Bree has to go.
Yeah, there we go. We got Lost Sleep TV. Phil W, who's locked in on Summer League right now.
What up, Phil?
I know that for sure. Locked the hell in. Oh, my internet here is bad. I'm trying to scroll up, and YouTube is being a real pain in the butt right now. So that might be
the Blanche Devereaux,
Marty Bones. We have real time in here. Both of those guys with super chats today. Thank you to them.
Jeffrey Stewart. What up, Jeff?
What up? Flyers in 7. What up?
That would be great.
Flyers in 7 in every round, win the Stanley Cup. Rookie Mitchkoff with the Conn Smythe Award. There you go. We're speaking it into existence. Cannoli is
Holy
in
here.
Cannoli. And then one more. I don't know if I've seen them today, but we gotta say it. Darkness in the building. Igavini. Also in the building. Possible change. All right, that's enough for today. Guys, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon so you get notifications. Hit that bell icon so you get notifications each and every time we go live. Hit the thumbs up button to show Derek and Devon we should spend a probably irresponsible amount of money to go see Dead and Company at the Sphere tonight. We are off tomorrow. We'll be back Saturday and Sunday for more Summer League stuff. Thank you to super producer Bree. As always, everybody, take care, and we'll see you from a new location, maybe a little bit more of an established location on Saturday. Take care until then.
Folks.